You may not say this out loud, but somewhere inside you, quietly, persistently, there is a thought that keeps returning. I am not quite there yet. Not good enough yet. Not pure enough yet. Not awake enough yet. Always one step away. And so you keep moving, improving. You read more, listen more. You adjust your behavior, your posture. You do anything possible just to help make you feel sufficient. From the outside, it looks admirable. From the inside, it feels exhausting. And here is the part that almost no one wants to face. What if the very effort to become right is the thing that quietly moves you away from what you are trying to reach? This is not a psychological trick. It is a question that Zen Master Bankei placed directly in front of his listeners, without comfort or ornament, without escape. He asked people neither to purify themselves, nor to ascend, nor even to improve. He asked them something far more unsettling. What do you lack right now as you see and hear? Before beliefs, before effort, before intention. Look at yourself. But the simple fact that seeing is happening, that hearing is happening, that awareness is already present. Bankei called this the unborn. Thank you for choosing to watch this video. Stay with it, not because it will give you answers, but because it will quietly remove one assumption you may have been living with for years. By the end, you will understand why Zen Master Bankei said that the smallest effort to improve yourself is often the very thing that pulls you away from what you are trying to reach. This is not a video to learn from. It is a video that may interrupt the way you have been trying to become better. Let us begin. We are often trained to believe that value comes from effort, that goodness must be proven, that awareness must be earned. Even spirituality becomes another project, another place to succeed or fail, another place to look superior. Bankei said, "When you are watching and listening, you are unborn, not because you achieved something, but because nothing has ever left." The unborn is not a mystical state. It is the fact that before thought comments, before identity claims ownership, before morality labels, response is already there. Life is already responding. And this is exactly why people miss it. Because it feels too ordinary, too close. So the search begins. People speak of the essential mind of the Buddhas. They speak of patriarchs, lineages, teachings, methods. But Bankei says something quietly devastating. There is not a hairbreadth of difference between their minds and your mind right now. And yet, you want to seek outside yourself. You want to look for Buddhahood, for Dharma. You want confirmation. And in doing so, you create the very obstruction that keeps you from conforming to your original, unborn mind. The moment you believe there is something missing, the world fills with destinations. Spiritual destinations, moral destinations, psychological destinations. And just like that, you are busy for the rest of your life. An old Buddha once said, "The moment Yajnadatha ceased his crazed pursuit, he was enlightened. Not when he found something, but when he stopped running." This is where modern listeners often misunderstand. They hear this and think it means doing nothing, withdrawing, becoming passive. But Bankei explicitly warned against that. Doing nothing, he said, is a dark, ghost-filled cave. The unborn is not inactivity. It is unobstructed functioning. But functioning without self-correction, without the constant inner supervisor monitoring, judging, adjusting. And this is terrifying to a self built on comparison. Because if there is nothing to improve, then what happens to the image you have been protecting? What happens to the sense of being better, a new self-developed version you've been striving for? This is why Bankei did not comfort his listeners. He pulled out nails. He wrenched free wedges, not to make people obedient, but to make them emancipated, free of attachment. There was something unsettling about being near Bankei. People felt it before they understood it. A radiance, it was said, emanated from his eyes. Not warmth, not kindness, but clarity. He did not need to question people. He did not need to test them. It was as if, the moment someone stood before him, they were already revealed. He was like a mirror that refused to flatter, and mirrors are dangerous to anyone who survives on image. One day, at Korinji in Edo, a monk approached him. He bowed, properly, respectfully. Bankei looked at him and said only this: "Show me how you use the Dharma." Nothing dramatic, no trap in the words. The monk began to speak. His explanation was elegant, polished, confident. It carried the rhythm of someone who had studied well, practiced carefully, prepared. But Bankei did not interrupt. He let the words finish themselves. Then he said, "Your words and your attainment do not match." That was all. No insult, no argument, just a clean incision. "What you say flies before the soaring dragon," Bankei continued. "What you are hobbles behind a lame tortoise." In other words, your understanding is ahead of your life. Your mouth is faster than your being. And then the real exposure came. "Before you came," Bankei said, "you discussed what you would say to me with a more advanced student. You thought you could put something over on me." There was no anger in his voice, only certainty. When you come before a teacher who possesses the true Dharma eye, you can no more hide something from him than you could hide from the sun itself. The monk collapsed, not outwardly, but inwardly. He rose and prostrated himself in gratitude, not because he was humiliated, but because the role he had been playing was over. This moment is easy to misunderstand. Many hear this story and think Bankei was asserting authority, that he was displaying superiority. But look more closely. Bankei was not rejecting the monk's words. He was rejecting the split between what is said and what is lived. And this split is not ancient. It is everywhere, right here in this modern world. In workplaces where values are displayed on walls but violated in meetings. In social media where compassion is posted but not practiced. In spiritual communities where humility is spoken but comparison quietly governs everything. We learn very early how to sound good, how to speak the language of awareness, of kindness, of morality. But the unborn does not respond to language. It responds to congruence. This is why Bankei's presence felt unbearable to some, because he did not oppose people. He simply did not participate in their self-editing. During a conversation, he once remarked, "Where I am now is a realm the Buddha patriarchs themselves could not fathom." This sounds arrogant until you realize what he meant. He was not claiming transcendence. He was pointing to immediacy. Right here, right now. A place so ordinary, so ungraspable, that even sacred frameworks cannot contain it. Those who lived with him noticed something clearly. Bankei's decisiveness in everyday affairs was beyond understanding. At times, the monks attending him thought he was neglecting what should be done, or doing the reverse. They whispered, they doubted. His actions did not align with their expectations of wisdom. But later, always later, they would discover the fundamental truth of what he had done. This is another quiet blow to the spiritual imagination. We expect wisdom to look consistent, predictable, reassuring. But the unborn mind is not a personality. It does not follow scripts. It responds. And response often looks wrong to minds addicted to control. Bankei constantly used the word unborn, not as a doctrine or a system, but as a reminder. And those who came to him benefited according to their capacities, like fish, shellfish, turtles, and whales drawing freely from the same ocean. The ocean does not discriminate. It does not instruct. It simply allows. And here, Bankei offered one of his most severe warnings. If there is even a hairbreadth of difference, he said, you are as far from it as heaven is from earth. The moment you insert a preference, a view, an opinion, a stance, separation is already there. At the instant in a true Zen encounter, when two minds move without separation, it is like two mirrors reflecting each other. Nothing added, nothing withheld. Each thing appears in its true suchness. There is nothing above to catch hold of, Bankei said, and nothing below to support you. No ladder, no safety net. You live in your original perfection, unborn and undying, immersed in a samadhi of total freedom. But only if you stop trying to stand on something. This is why he warned so sharply. You must realize that it is your own views and opinions that obstruct you. And then, almost casually, he added, and doing nothing is a dark, ghost-filled cave. This line cuts both ways. It destroys effort, and it destroys passivity. You cannot improve your way into freedom, and you cannot withdraw your way into it either. A layman once asked whether Bankei's unborn was similar to the teaching of Vimalakirti. Bankei listened, then said, Vimalakirti said that to instruct Mahakatyayana. My teaching, he said, is designed to make people penetrate directly what is beyond words. No comparison, no alignment, just a refusal to turn immediacy into philosophy. And when a priest of the Shingon sect attempted to categorize the unborn within his school's framework, Bankei simply said, "Come closer." The priest stepped forward, and Bankei shouted, "What aspect is that?" The priest was struck dumb, not defeated, disarmed. A monk in the audience stuck out his tongue. Not mockery, recognition. The need to classify, to own, collapsed. Placing the unborn inside a system where it could be managed became the obstruction. If Bankei were speaking today, many people would mistake him. They would call him impractical, too simple, too dismissive of effort. Some would accuse him of encouraging complacency. Others would quietly feel threatened without knowing why. Because his teaching does not attack wrongdoing. It attacks something far more protected, the identity of being right. Bankei never defended ignorance. He never praised chaos. He never excused harm. What he refused to do was sanctify the self, the ego that believes it stands on higher ground. This is where his teaching becomes uncomfortably relevant. Because in modern life, we no longer build our identities only through action. We build them through posture, through opinions, through moral alignment, through visible stances. We curate the version of ourselves that appears aware, ethical, refined, and we call this growth. But notice something subtle. When we focus too much on looking good, we start pushing away parts of ourselves that don't match. Anger must be hidden, envy disguised, fear reframed. We do not meet these things openly. We manage them. And management is not freedom. Bankei understood this instinctively. This is why he said that the unborn transcends both enlightenment and delusion. This is why he insisted, each and everything is originally true, not acceptable, not correct, true, including the parts of you have been trying to refine away. Awakening, in Bankei's teaching, does not rise above humanity. It descends into it, into awkwardness, into inconsistency, into unfinished places. Not to fix them, but to stop excluding them. And this is terrifying to a self built on improvement, because to the conventional minds, improvement depends on rejection. This does not mean indulging impulses. It means ceasing to split experience into what is allowed and what must be hidden. This is why Bankei warned people not to cling even to his words. The moment you turn the unborn mind into a concept, you create distance. The moment you repeat it to sound wise, you betray it. He knew people would try. They always do. They listen. They nod. They feel clarity. And then they begin to use it, to sound free, to appear detached, to subtly elevate themselves. And eventually, they become someone else's person. And Bankei found this lamentable. Not because people failed, but because nothing was required of them to begin with. Remember what he said at the start. Look at yourself, as you see and hear amid the circumstances of your daily life. What do you lack? Not after practice, not after insight, now. This question does not invite an answer. It invites your presence. The presence to notice that seeing is already seeing, hearing already hearing, life already responding. This is the unborn Buddha mind. If you've stayed until here, it's not because you were given something new. It's because something familiar was allowed to return. Your original, unborn Buddha mind. Nothing in this teaching asks you to believe. Nothing asks you to improve yourself or to carry anything forward. And nothing here needs to be remembered. If this video has done its work, it will not follow you as an idea. It will meet you in ordinary moments. When you speak, when you listen, when you respond before thought arrives. And perhaps, the next time you feel the urge to correct yourself, to justify, or to become someone else, you might pause, just long enough to notice what is already functioning without your effort. That is all.